I heard once that a large animal such as the horse can be way more sensitive than us humans. And you have to ask yourself, define sensitive. What do you mean? How much pressure, how much pain, how much threshold? So I think awareness would be a better saying. We can feel also when a fly lands on our skin or hair. So horses feel that too, right? But a horse has this, it's a flight animal, has this gift to sense danger faster or sense change or even your vibration of your heart. And we know there's many scientific research, there's even movies made of the different frequency of the horse beat versus the human heartbeat. And I wondered, is he lame now because he's nervous, or he feels in danger, or is he nervous because my saddle doesn't fit? Well, how do I know what is what? Well, the easier answer is we have two saddles. And one is the dressage, one is the jumping. In the jumping saddle, he goes perfect. In the dressage, he's lame. Or vice versa. You have a perfect dressage saddle, he goes great. And then jumping saddle, he goes lame. So obviously, the only factor here is the same multiplier as the saddle. The saddle is the different factor, right? So how and what does the saddle hit for the horse to make intermittently lame? To answer this question, we also need to ask ourselves, why does a horse doesn't want to go forward when the cowboy says, whoa? How come the word whoa, or the Germans go with the bird twitter? What makes them stop? We treat our horses to listen to a sound, and that means slow. But we use certain training technique for them to associate this kind of bird twitter or the whoa, right? So what is the training technique? Some use pain, and the other use as a certain lesson for them to say, oh, this was okay. And if I need to slow down, I slow down. Unfortunately, most often it is associated with pain. People don't like to hear that when I say about that, but let's talk about this, how I can slow a horse down. I use nature's trigger point, which is on these horses for 35 million years. And it is in an area where the horse, let me just find a pen, here you go, where the horse has nerve or travel all the way down the leg. The yellowness here, that's the nerve. Okay, that goes all the way down. The main branch is in this area. Okay? So when a horse bites another horse, let's say two stallions fight, okay? When you see them, they always go for the legs first. Then he goes here. That's a very painful area on the horse. So all horse owner can try. Grab the horse on here and then bite him. They go very quick, very uncomfortable. But if you put any kind of a pressure around the withers, in front or behind it or on top, and you squish this area right here, okay? You hit a nerve, what ignites the brachial plexus, and what it happens is the ribcage drops. I'll give you an example. When you pick up a little kitty cat, and you grab him by the scruff, you pick him up, they give up. So when stallions fight other stallions, they bite first here, then here. But if the other stallion has a stallion here, the other stallion gives up. Stallions in the wild and in breeding facilities still have the sensitivity to bite the mare in the neck. Why? Because when she gets bitten in this area during breeding season, that pulls that long back muscle, the pelvis, this way. That goes down. That opens the pelvis and he can breed her. This reflex is in the horses since 35 million years. Now, if your saddle doesn't fit in the tree width or in the angle, the tree becomes, some veterinarian call it the vice grip of the saddle. Or visualize a vice grip, you put a tool in it and you tighten it, that thing doesn't move, right? Some fitters like to fit their saddle that way. It pinches the withers so hard, and the saddle doesn't move. And what happens is when you sit on your saddle and the saddle doesn't fit, and you do a rising trot or put any weight in your stirrup, where's this stirrup leather attached to the stirrup bar? Where's the stirrup bar attached with rivets to this metal plate where it goes over the horse? So if it doesn't fit properly through there, this bites like a stallion does happens. So let's say you had a saddle and all of a sudden the horse starts changing and goes intermittently lame. Didn't go before, but all of a sudden it starts. See, some people like to build a nice top line, which means build these top muscles, right? And the horse gets more musculature. So if the horse matures properly, but the tree doesn't get adjusted to the size of the horse's more muscles, right? Then something happens, what is always done for millions of years. The horse associates that pain. Oh, slow down. There's a research. Let me see if I find this here in my book. I do this a lot on Instagram, so I apologize that the writing is backwards, but you get the gist of it. So Western saddle or English saddle, you don't want to see a gap here, okay, like that. It's pinching there. It needs to be parallel. It can't pinch on top because then you bite where the stallion bites. So if we look at the area which I'm referring to, that travels down, okay, all the way to the leg. So this is the cranial nerve 11, and then it intersects into the trapezius muscle. So when that gets pinched, goes through here, it drops. And when that drops, the rib cage drops, then that main brachial plexus will get pinched. And then just like you, when you have a pinched nerve, the pain can go all the way up to your ear. In this case, goes all the way down to the foot. So from one day to the next, it gets pinched, it's intermittently lame. Next day, oh, it's good, I don't have to call the vet. So it's on and off and on and on. It drives you nuts, right? So saddle can hurt or hit certain reflex points, like a doctor, when he hits your kneecap, your leg goes forward, right? So that's a reflex on the knee. But certain areas on the horse's area, spinal nerves, wither cup, when they get pinched, and if I use then every time I bite in there or I grab there and I go whoa or brr, I use that to slow my horse down. Okay. In Western world, they just use the skin and push on the withers. Whoa, until they understand. Whoa means slow down, or I push harder. So intermittently lameness start with the most easiest trick in the world. I mean, it's so easy. All you need to do is have a pen, 2 pencils. Put one pen on the horse's widest part, okay, shoulder. Then you bring it down 4 inches, and then the other pen goes on top of your on the saddle. So what you actually do, you're checking if the shoulder angle matches the tree angle or your saddle angle. See, here you see that's approximately 4 inches, and then you push with one finger the pen against the widest part of the horse's shoulder. Put your saddle where it belongs, behind the shoulder. Put the pen where it starts, the panel, the vertical panel where it starts. Are they level or not? If they're not, it pinches. Okay. We talked about tree width prior. Okay. The tree width is the distance where these vertical panels are. Here's a panel. Okay. This is a saddle panel. That's horizontal. That's vertical. Sometimes they're stuffed only to here. But wherever they start, see how there's a stitch line here? Okay? That's where the horse starts feeling the contact. So put your pen right against the edge. Okay? And that has to be now parallel with the horse's shoulder blade. Okay? The other little issue could be if the tree width, English or Western, same principle apply. Okay, the tree width is if this here, that's the tree width, that's the angle. Big difference. Same with the English. Tree width, angle. So if the tree width is too narrow, okay, it can hit that pressure point or reflex point. Horses used in 35 million years to breed themselves, dominate themselves, and to stop going forward. Because that lameness, that nerve what shoots down to the foot, they don't want to walk on it. Well, if they have a rider on top and beats them forward with all kinds of fancy whips and spurs, they will go forward, but they will be lame.